Believe you can, and you're halfway there, was said by Theodore Roosevelt. Imagine one day you're out and about doing everyday activities, such as going to work, university, or seeing friends and family. Then suddenly out the blue, you have an accident, and you find yourself disabled. Relying on others to help you do things you used to do. How would that make you feel? After I was born, because of a stroke, I was diagnosed with left-sided cerebral palsy. I've had to rely on family, friends, and a care provider to help me to do everyday activities, from getting ready in the morning to having my food cut up and moving around. In addition to my CP, I've also been diagnosed with epilepsy, which has dramatically impacted my life. Every day, I've lived in fear of a potential seizure and been alone if a seizure happened. Often, I'm scared to go out because I fear, what would I do if I had one? Furthermore, my medical conditions also impact my ability to process and see information and how I communicate. Some days, I'm okay, just like today. I'm talking to you all about the impacts of my disabilities, sharing my journey, as well as why people with disabilities should be able to live an ordinary life. On some days, I can get easily confused, forget who I am, what I do, as well as what I want to say. On some occasions, I even forget people I know. To hear me say that, I can imagine it probably sounds strange and funny, a 26-year-old young woman forgetting people she knows. But I can honestly say for me, some days are more challenging than others. And it's on those occasions where I end up getting annoyed or frustrated at myself because I'm having to ask others to repeat, or I feel like I'm asking stupid questions. But at the end of the day, I know it's not my fault. When I was younger, I was placed into a segregated disability youth club because I lacked in social skills. This youth club wasn't your average inclusive club. It was a club whereby I was forced into doing childish activities, such as watching programmes like Balamory, as well as being surrounded by childish jigsaws and toys. Additionally, if you had to leave the room for any reason, such as going to the toilets, you had to be accompanied by a member of staff. Basically, everywhere I went outside the main room, they followed or I was being watched. Being in that environment was hard. I felt like I was watched the whole time I was there. Can you imagine being a 12-year-old kid, having to watch childish programmes and having to play with toys? Can you imagine what it'd be like to have someone following and watching every step you took? Would you find it degrading? Therefore, one of my messages to you all today is to consider, what would a person with a disability want? Would they want to be in an inclusive environment, or would they want to be shut out from society? To me, as a disability rights activist, it's important to have the person at the centre of all conversations where their wishes and views are taken on board. All of those involved in a person's life, from parents and carers to social workers and support workers, should make every effort to communicate with a person based on their communication needs, such as using sign language, pictures and signs. This club was a club for children and young people with a range of disabilities, from people like me that were mild to people who were severe and complex needs. So understand there was going to be activities like this, right? Regardless of a person who has complex needs, people with disabilities should be given age-appropriate activities to do. The only reason I left the club was because I cried every time I was there. When I attended high school, I was unfortunately bullied, which was related to my disabilities. Just like for anyone, bullying wasn't a nice experience. To be honest, it made me stronger for what was going to come. Many years later, I was going to have to face negative comments and judgments. This enabled me to build up the resilience and the confidence to deal with whatever life throws at me nowadays. For around 5 years, I was lucky enough to work for a disability rights organisation, which gave me unlimited amounts of opportunities to create change. Doing that work made my passion for speaking out real. Having seen difficult, heartbreaking situations is my main motivation to achieve my success. I've always wanted to work, regardless if people tried to stop me. I've been told no so many times. I've even been rejected for a job interview because the employer wanted someone who was capable, but the job was like what I do today. Although there was the Equality Act legislation in place, the first thing that jumped to mind was, okay, that's what you think, but I'm determined to prove you 1,000% wrong and fighting harder for my rights, to get the success I strongly desire. For people with disabilities, getting a job is often difficult because job advertisements have been online only, and it can be difficult to get reasonable adjustments in place. To overcome the reasonable adjustments, there is a government scheme, but it can be difficult to get the support that you need. To date, I have 3 key achievements that I'm incredibly proud of, which are: during an apprenticeship, I organised a Disability Awareness Week where I won an award, getting to work for the NHS as a PA, and joining the Young Combined Authority Board, which I kind of applied for at the last minute. To be honest, when I first saw the opportunity, I didn't think I'd get it. So when the biggest shock of my life came, I almost fell off my chair. I guess you could say accidentally doing things at the last minute pays off. For people with disabilities, getting on major boards such as governance programmes is often out of reach. I am extremely passionate and proud to say that I get to work for the NHS. It is the most rewarding job in the world, which I wouldn't change for anything. I have an amazing support network from my manager and colleagues who will not only believe in me and support me, even when I feel like I'm not good enough. Occasionally though, I do get put on the straight and narrow for being too hard on myself. But most importantly, I'm accepted for me, even with my disability. Getting to work for the NHS wasn't easy because of the scheme, but I was willing to work extra hard to get the support that I needed, and it all paid off. You see, just because I have a disability doesn't mean I give in that easily. Whereas getting on the Young Combined Authority Board has not only given me incredible life-changing opportunities, it's allowed me to work alongside passionate young people who are just brilliant. The people I know I can trust my whole life with, and with their instant if needed. Personally though, I've learned a lot from them, including that it's okay to talk about my disabilities. More recently in the pandemic, people with disabilities have been impacted even more so because we've had to shield. Due to our medical conditions, specifically in the first lockdown, many of us hadn't letter or took the personal option to shield in order to protect ourselves. Particularly for me, I took the personal option to shield. In the past year, we've all had to be locked away in our homes and not be able to see people face to face, such as friends and family. But when you have a disability, not being able to go out is the normal, often because venues aren't accessible, such as having wheelchair access or changing places toilets. These are things that people take for granted every day. So why is it only since we've had a global pandemic that people are only recognising this? Furthermore, for all of us, we haven't been able to see our healthcare professionals in person. And whilst we've gotten used to this, when you have a disability, it can be even more difficult to get the support that you need. For instance, for people who are non-verbal, it can be difficult for healthcare professionals to give their patients the treatment they require. In addition to this, for some people with disabilities, it can be difficult to express healthcare problems because of their needs. On a personal note, I recently started treatment for my epilepsy, and all conversations I've had has been by phone. I've had my own personal difficulties in expressing my concerns and issues because my side effects have been so visible. If you were a person struggling to communicate this across, how would you like to be treated? In my talk today, I've shared my experiences from school, attending the Disability Club, as well as my proudest achievements. Additionally, I've explained some of the difficulties that people with disabilities have faced as a result of the pandemic, as well as what needs to happen to improve their quality of life. No matter how long I live for, I want my message to be heard everywhere. But when I am gone, I want my legacy to carry on. When remembered for me, my voice and my passion. A disability organisation in America, ECCL, said, "The worst thing about disability is that others see it before they see you." I often use my voice to convey to others that a person with a disability is a person first and their disability second. Another message I'd like to leave you all with is just that. Because a person with a disability is a person, with hopes, dreams and ambitions just like you. And as you look at me today, as a young woman who's done wonders, including, surprisingly, somehow managed to pull off a TED talk out of nowhere. Why can't any other person stand on this stage, or, in my case, sit and deliver a nerve-wracking TED talk? To anyone who thinks they're not good enough, feels not included in society, or simply wants to give up, anything is possible if you have self-belief. Thank you.